I grew up in Louisiana, and oh, thanks. Yeah. And once in a while, my friends and I would go to New Orleans. It was always a big deal because it was like going to, another world and everything because we weren't from a good part, right? And when we went one time, I was with three of my friends, and one of my friends was like, oh, we should all go to a psychic while we're here in the French Quarter, right? Because they have a bunch of psychics lined up, right? And so I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I don't even really believe in psychics. And even if I did, I don't know if I want to know, right? Like, I'm all right. And he was like, no, come on, it'll be fun. Let's do it, right? So sure enough, he convinces all three of us to go ahead and do it. And there's lots of different psychics lined up. There's some people that are like reading palms. There's some people that have tarot cards. There's some people that are just staring at you like, oh. And so, I sat at a tarot table, right? And I don't know anything about tarot cards at all. Like, I don't know what the process is or anything, but I went ahead and I paid the lady, because you got to pay up front, right? They can't just be like, here's the future now. And so I went ahead and paid and everything. And then she started like dealing, right? And so, and I didn't know. So when she had dealt a couple, I just scooped up a couple. Because I don't know how to play, right? And then she was like, don't do that. And so then she redealt, and I kept my hands to myself this time. And then there was one card she got to where she just went, ooh. She went, ooh, and then scooped up all the cards, grabbed her tablecloth, and walked away. I was like, I paid you for $5 worth of future. You gotta say something. You can't just walk off. What? Because now I feel crazy because I just paid $5 to believe in that now. I don't know what she saw. My friends are next to me. They all getting their palms. Oh, yeah. Then they get done. And they're like, what about you? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know anything because she walked away. She can't just... And they were like, oh, maybe she was a scammer. I was like, maybe? She didn't even try. It's the future. You don't know. I can't prove. Do you know what I mean? Make something up. Even if you saw something terrible, lie to me. I won't know. And so then they were like, oh, well, stuff happens. It's just $5. I was like, nah. So I sat down with another psychic. I was like, hey, can you help me? And she's like, what are you looking for? What do you know? I'm like, no, none of that. I need you to find... I need you to track down one of you so then you can tell me what she saw. Like in the 80s movies when somebody would get in a cab and they'd be like, follow that car. I was doing that. But with the psychics, I was like, you need to track her because she walked off with a tablecloth and everything. I don't think she's coming back. Like, I need you to see what she saw to just... And she was like, oh, it doesn't work like that. I was like, how does it work? We are dealing with an emergency here. Because she didn't just go, ugh. She was like, ugh. Like, it doesn't look ambiguous what's about to happen next. You need to know what it is. There's an interesting thing that's happened over the past, 2 years, I'd say, where everyone has built out categories for people who are famous, right? So there are some people that are like that old Hollywood type of famous that's kind of disappearing. You may never get another one of these again, like Brad Pitt level famous, right? Like, we don't know if that'll ever happen again because the internet has split us so much that, like, there's very few hardcore blockbuster movies that just everyone went to see, and when they are happening, it's like still factions of people, and it's not the same actors in the same movies every time. So like the closest we've probably got is like Timothy Chalamet, you know what I mean? Like he was in Wonka and then Dune 2 and, you know, and then something else at the same time. It felt like everybody in Hollywood, I remember that time because for those period of months when I was going to the movies, it felt like everybody else in Hollywood got sick. And it felt like they just kept calling, like, no, we need you to do, or the movie won't come out. It's like, okay, that he's Wonka, that I know where he's a Fremen, and he's like, you know, it's like, it was just a lot, right? And then you have people who are like, yeah, that old Hollywood famous. Then you have people who are more like internet famous, in a way that may stick or may not stick. So you have people that have like millions and millions of followers on Instagram or on YouTube or whatever. So they're technically as famous, if not more famous, than the old Hollywood people, right? Because these people were picked by the people, you know what I mean? Whereas the other people's sort of their success feels like studio, feels like, you know, a machine driving it or something. And then you also have lengths, right? Like lengths of fame. So there are some people that are famous the way that, like, they will be as famous as long as, like, a turtle lives. Do you know what I mean? Like, they'll be famous for so long that they'll actually die and still be famous after they're dead because people keep watching their movies and they're in classics and stuff. So it's like those, like, Marlon Brando types and stuff like that, where even if you don't know who they are, even if you can't picture it, you know what they've created, you know a part of what they did while they were here, you know? And then there's people that are famous for a shorter amount of time. It's still substantial, but it's not the same amount. So people that are famous like lifespan of a dog. Like it's still quite a bit of time. You know, there are people who were like super famous in the 90s who are less famous now, but if you saw them in a grocery store, you'd be like, ah! Don't move. You were in something. I know your fate. You were in something. And then there are people that are famous for like the lifespan, and this is sadly most of fame. There are people that are famous for the lifespan of like a goldfish. It's just here and gone, right? If you blink, you'll miss it. They were famous for like a week, you know? They really subscribe to that 15 minutes, in a sense, you know? Because you don't even really remember why they were famous, and then someone has to like go on and on about the thing that they did. Like, I don't know her name, and I'm not picking on her or anything, but just as an example, it's like that one girl that was on TikTok that hit her hip on the bedpost. It was like, ah! And it's like... I don't know who she is. I don't know where she is. She could be here. But I wish her well. I'm not saying this as in like it's a dig on her. I'm just saying that that's what happens, is that now that algorithms are ruling the world and ruling how we see the world, how we see perspective from other people, and how we like take in any form of media, right? I think that those are like the 3 levels, you know? So there are people who you think are gonna be goldfish, and then they end up being dogs. And we haven't lived long enough to see if a goldfish is ever gonna become a turtle. But it's like here today, gone tomorrow, and it'll sweep the entire country. It might sweep the world for like a week or months. You don't know when it's gonna end, right? Like I can't tell if the Hawk Tuah girl is a goldfish, or like a dog, right? Because this is my thing. Okay, if somehow you don't know the phenomenon that is the Hawk Tuah girl, basically, very quickly, it's something that took over the world for some reason. Where, people do those street interviews on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and stuff, and basically they walked up to this one young lady who was out with her friend, and they were like, what's one thing that drives a man wild? And she was like, you gotta go Hawk Tuah and spit on that thing, right? And in a few sentences, she captured the hearts, the hearts and minds of America in a way that sadly a president never could. And I think one of the reasons she blew up, because a lot of people accused her of being a plant or this being like some weird thing as soon as it happened, but I think that one of the things that propelled her to where she is now and what pushed her in so many different algorithms, because she blew up on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, and then there were like derivative things of her after the fact, and then people were trying to figure out who she was, all this stuff, right? And I think that it's because most of what creates anything and what drives algorithms is discussion, right? If you can get people to argue, you're getting people to comment. If you're getting people to comment, this soulless, faceless algorithm just sees that a lot of people are talking about it, so then it pushes it to more people to talk about. Because all they want is your attention. They just want to keep you where you are right now in your phone, right? So then people saw it, and then there were people who immediately hated her. Like, just in a way that's like, not, and this isn't a soapbox thing, just I'm saying I witnessed it. They hated her in a way that we only seem to hate women online. They hated her so much. And I think a lot of people hated her because she was right. But I don't know. I mean, some people hated her immediately, and some people loved her immediately. Some people thought she was the most endearing, so sweet, so funny, so genuine, because that's another thing that people are attracted to in a world that feels like everyone has a very cold and calculated outreach plan or way to get you to buy something or way to keep your attention. It just felt like somebody walked up to her and she talked and she had fun. She was out all night with her friend and then she left, right? And I think that level of being genuine really captured people in that moment, right? And so now, and I don't know where she goes from here. Apparently, she's like getting a show, and apparently there's going to be like, I don't know, a bunch of stuff that happens. There's already people who have like paid her to appear and stuff like that. And then you saw people get mad about that. There were some people that were like, that's so unfair. She was just talking, and now all of a sudden she has stuff, and then that kept it going. And people don't seem to realize that, like, what keeps her going is us talking. Not in a bad way. I'm not saying a diss on her or anything. I'm just saying, even right now, what I'm doing is keeping her in the algorithm forever. I do wish her well, though, because I think that especially if you are at sadly, if you're at like a goldfish level of fame, you don't really know why you're here. Kind of like the goldfish in the bowl that's swimming in a circle. Not really sure where it's going or if it can go anywhere, or I'm just here, you know. I used to be at a fair and now I'm at this dude's house. Because when you aren't known for a thing, when there's not, we used to have these turtles because we used to prop up people who were famous as these demigods. And we still do it. We do it in different ways now, because now there isn't just like old celebrity. Now there's like digital creator, there's influencer, there's all these different people, but we still do it to people where we like deify them in real time, right? And I think that before it was always attached to a skill. So it was always like Marlon Brando is the most brilliant actor of all time. Orson Welles is this incredible director, right? All of these people are absolutely deified deified in their skill and what they do. So then even the people that want to reach their heights, whether it's fame or just skill, they want to get to that level, and it's something that may never be achievable, right? And then when you're like dog famous, people stop calling, right? Like, it's like I was available for parts, but I don't know. Like I didn't want to take the steroids, so then Marvel was like, no. You know, and I wish her well, because I think that it's a terrifying thing to just have everybody think they can get something from you or want something from you immediately, and you don't really know why, right? And you don't know how to keep what you got. Maybe you can turn it into something, you know? Like, who knows? Maybe I is an actress now. Like, I have no idea. Maybe it is the start to something, or maybe it just petered out because, you know, that was a moment in time, right? Because it's just hard. Because then if you're out one day, no one talks about that. No one talks about what becoming like unfamous is. You know, people that are famous actually then they turn to becoming infamous just to keep some level of normalcy of where they were, right? That's why sometimes in my opinion, you see people who used to be more famous, all of a sudden they lose their minds, right? Like you'll just be on Twitter one day and see like Randy Quaid said something. And you're like, okay, all right, that's what he's up to now, all right. No. Because I think if you don't really know why you're there, and if people aren't actually around you, protecting you, nurturing you, and taking care of you, right? Because we don't, I mean, unless she's here, we don't know Hawk Tuah girl. Like, just, we don't know what she wants out of all this or something. It was just sort of thrust upon her. And she's like, I quit my job immediately and I just started taking meetings and stuff. And I'm like, good for you, but also like, be careful, you know what I mean? Because if you don't know why you're here, you don't know how to stay. And then you get treated like a goldfish after. After a couple weeks, and you get, you know, next thing you know, that's not a regular bowl. It's a And by the way, I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that she gets to use whatever springboard she wants, or like landing pad that improves her life. Because also, she didn't necessarily sign up for this thing. Somebody just asked her, what makes a man go crazy in bed? And then she knew, so then she answered, right? Like that's... I went to years ago, when I was with my friends back home in Louisiana, I went to a buffet. And this is a buffet before COVID, right? So this is a buffet that we just didn't know was nasty yet, right? Like COVID, you know, just gives you a different perspective on things that are like communal, right? Because a buffet is just family style eating, but it's with the public. Because you've had meals with your family before, and then you got that one cousin that's nasty, right? So then you're like, can someone please pass the mashed potatoes? And then they get ready to pass the mashed potatoes. You're like, ooh, not you, right? And then they grab the bowl and go to pass you, but they got their thumb in the bowl so they can get some grip on it, right? And then you're like, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's... Scoop it up, grab it from the bottom, hand it to me, because now it's thumb potatoes. So that's what it is. This is a buffet. It's just, you know, with everybody. And I even tried to give a buffet a shot post-COVID. And To be fair, maybe I wasn't being fair. Maybe I judged too quickly. But I basically walked in, and somebody who wasn't even at the food, just somebody at a table coughed, and I was like, forget this. This is... No, but this is years ago. I was in Louisiana with a few of my friends and went to this buffet. Now, this buffet did something special where basically they had the whole buffet and you could pay for that, or you could get a box. And if you got a box, it was a lot of the things that were at the buffet you could pick and choose, but it was food that came out of the kitchen, right? So it didn't feel like you were participating. And so I would always get a box, and there was one day they had a special, right? So you could get a box, and then for $1, you could get double meat, which I realize now as an adult is not a deal. Because meat should never be $1, right? Like... Because you told me the whole box was $13, and then they were like, for $1, we'll just double it up. That means that all the meat is 50 cents. These margins are too tight for you to just be giving away all this meat for $1, right? This is horse. It has to be. All the meats that I know of cost a little bit of money, right? And so I was young. And I was naive, and so I was like, ooh, hit me with that double meat. And so sure enough, they give me the box. It's packed, right? And there's just a ridiculous amount of meat, a bed of rice, some veggies on the side, and like a little treat in one of the little compartments, right? And so we all sit down to eat, and I am loving life because I'm eating like a king for like $13. Had a coupon. And everything's well and good. We even leave. And about 40 minutes later, I get a pain. But the pain the pain is not in my chest or my stomach. The pain is like in the middle, like right here, which is terrifying because I was like, I shouldn't get this till I'm 58. Like this is too specific of a spot. Like it needs to be like, like head, shoulder, I mean, like all the pain should have a section, right? And like it either needs to be stomach ache or heart attack. I don't want whatever this is. This is an insane region to have this much pain. And so then I'm doing all types of weird movements trying to like make the pain decide where to go. Like I'm trying to either push it up or knock it down or something. Like I'm cramping up, but it's like it's right here. And I've never felt anything like that before. And so then I have like a little, I don't know, I do some motion and the pain just gets even tighter here, right? And then it starts to hit my stomach, and so I run. I didn't even know I was fast. I run. I run to the bathroom, right? And I run to the bathroom, and I'm glad nobody was in that one because I kicked the stall door open, right? Because we're in crunch time. This isn't a no. You know what I mean? Like, we're pushing at least, right? And so I run up and I kick the stall door open, which you should never do because those stall doors bounce back, right? So I kick and boom and boom and boom, and then I get up off the floor, right? And I get in the stall, and then I sit down, and it's still just like, it's all right here. And I'm like tearing up. It hurts so bad. I don't know, I can't even describe it because I've never felt anything like it since. And I'm just like, I'm still trying to do the movements, like push the pain to make sense, you know what I mean? And I've been praying, by the way. I've been praying for a long time because you ever in the bathroom and you start to pray, but you're not even praying about anything related to what you ate. You're praying about something you might have got away with when you were little. And you were like, Lord, I'm sorry I took it. I didn't think they noticed. It's my bad. I won't do it again. Just, that's gotta be what this is about, because this is too specific. This is like an inch below the nipples pain. Just hurting, right? And then I can't help it. I'm like audibly making noise. I'm like, I think this is what the psychic saw.
Denver, Colorado, make some noise for Josh Johnson.
It's when you travel a lot, you know, there are things that happen that are sometimes simply unfair. You know, and I mean past the regular stuff, past a delayed flight or anything. Years ago, I had a flight to Boulder, and I was coming from Chicago, and I had a window seat, and the man next to me was eating a whole rotisserie chicken. And when I say whole rotisserie chicken, I want you to understand, you know when you go to the grocery store and you see with the bubble, it was that. This wasn't just some chicken, it was a whole chicken. And there's nothing like when you meet somebody and they start out nice and then they betray you, right? Because we had a very cordial conversation initially, a very I'm not crazy conversation, then he switched up on me, right? They say that not all heroes wear capes. And apparently not all terrorists have bombs, because the way it started is basically my man was in the middle seat, and you always have to be nice to the person in the middle seat, because if they're in the middle seat, their life is not going well right now, okay? Because this is the thing with the middle seat that people disregard. Whatever happened to you while you traveling also happened to them, right? Maybe you were delayed. Maybe your flight got canceled. Maybe you had to spend the night in the airport. All that happened to them too, and they're in the middle seat. So they're still having a worse day than you can imagine, right? And so I'm always nice to the person in the middle seat. So, you know, we both sit down and everything, and then we look at each other, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? I feel like I'm a pretty cordial person, very approachable and everything. So I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'd love to strike up a conversation and stuff. And he's like, oh, I'm great. And in retrospect, he was great because he knew what he was about to do. And then we just started chatting, right? He was like, why are you flying to Boulder? I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a show. Why are you flying to Boulder? He's like, oh, I'm going on business. I was like, he must love his business. Like, well, little did I know he was going to do the devil's business, right? And so we are barely diagonal. We're basically one wheel off the ground when he decides it's his time to shine, right? And so this man reaches under the seat. He kept it under the seat because he wanted people to think it was a carry-on, right? So he pulled this chicken from under the seat. I had no idea what it was. It was just in a bag, right? So he pulls this from under the seat, and he really pulled it because I guess it got stuck, so he really pulled it, right? And then he pulls up and he lifts it. And this man is bigger than me. And anytime somebody is bigger than me and making me nervous, I go through scenarios in my head of what could happen next, right? So then he pulls this bag up and he lifts the bag. Now the bag the chicken was hot, right? So
The chicken was hot, so there had been some condensation around the actual shell of the rotisserie chicken, so the bag was clinging to the chicken, so I can't tell what it is. All I know is it's heavy and wet, right? So I look over at the bag, and it's got a little bit of steam coming out of it, and I'm like, that's why he was nice to everybody, because he got a bomb, right? And so then he grabs it from the bottom and starts peeling the bag off of the chicken, and I'm like, oh, okay. I wish it was a bomb. I think a bomb would have been easier for me to manage right now. This is actually gonna be more upsetting than a bomb. I can already tell, right? And so this is my other thing too. How did this man get this past TSA? Because there's an organization specifically designed to stop this sort of thing from happening. How did he get this on? Because they took my water. I can't have my water, but apparently he can have 12 ounces of chicken juice. So then he holding it up, right? And I'm not gonna lie to you, even when we were just chatting and stuff like that, I thought he smelled like chicken when I met him. And I felt crazy, because I was like, who just smells this much like chicken? I've never been around anybody before who and when I say he smelled like chicken, he smelled like he was the chicken, right? Like he smelled like he had just danced out the oven just now, right? Like he had chicken cologne, right? And so then he's got the bag, and usually I'm a very like live and let live type person, right? Just let everybody do their thing as long as it's not harming anybody, right? And I don't like when things are like exclusion just for the sake of being exclusive, just for the sake of other people not being able to have it, right? Like we made this price so some people can't come. We made this price and what. But I will say, I do like, we need to keep planes plane prices, because when planes are bus prices, bus behavior comes to planes. Because when he revealed a whole rotisserie chicken out of this bag, I was like, what in the Greyhound megabus is happening right now? This is not behavior for the air, right? And so then he lays the chicken down on the tray table, and I've never seen this before, because I guess it was a big enough chicken that the tray table actually had some give to it. And I've taken naps on the tray table and haven't bent it back like that. That's an FAA unregulated amount of chicken. And I'm not gonna lie, as soon as I saw the chicken, as soon as I saw him put it on a tray table, I tried to dissociate right there. I was trying to go somewhere else. I was like, ooh, I was trying to be anywhere else but right here, because I even put on my noise canceling headphones and just tried to pick a movie and just not be a part of what was happening right now, right? But okay, I've got them on, right? I picked the movie, and I am trying to watch Moana, okay? But all I can hear is the sound of him eating chicken. Babies can't get in here. Like, and when I tell you, this is how you can tell it was like premeditated too, because this chicken was still very, very hot, which means he got it right before the flight. That means he went to Albertsons and got a full rotisserie chicken, then was like, well, I have a flight. I don't think that's what happened. I think actually he was on his way to the airport, and he was like, I'm making good time. I got that pre-check. Let me make a stop by Albertsons on the way, pick up a snack, right? And so this man does not have a fork, because a fork would have got him caught, right? He just has the chicken on the tray table, and he is eating it with his hands like he is Henry VIII. and we are at a royal banquet dinner where the queen just gave birth, right? He really ripping into the chicken while picking his movie, right? Just fingers, 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 right? And so in my head, I'm like, what do I do? Because somehow this isn't illegal. See, that's a problem with our lawmakers, right? Our lawmakers write the laws after stuff happened. They're not thinking ahead to things that should never happen and writing a law for that. And likewise, with the airlines, they don't come up with the rules ahead of time. They wait for crazy stuff to happen, then they change the rules. But they should have sent it in your ticket, in your confirmation email for your ticket. They should have been like, hey, also, please don't bring any chicken from home, all right? We have all the chicken you need. The airport got you, okay? Because I don't remember this exactly, and maybe I'm not being fair, but I'm pretty sure the airport we were leaving from had a Popeyes. So he had access to chicken, but he wanted his own chicken, right? He was like, oh, they do it all apart and stuff. Let me get the whole thing. And so then I'm like, I don't know what to do. And so all right. I'm not proud of it. And I want to be clear, I didn't do this right away, right? Because even when he pulled out chicken, put it on the tray table, we are here. Like, he acted quickly. But by the time I did what I did, he had got down to the bone, okay? So he had a little bit of breast, a little bit of wing, a little bit of thigh. He had a good amount of his chicken. It looked like a crow had got to it by the time I did what I did, okay? But basically, I was like, I can't do this. I can hear it. I can't stop hearing it, right? And so I just pretended to fall asleep, right? Waited a little while. Even gave a couple, right? Because if you do the pig snores, people think it's a deep sleep, right? And so I pretended to sleep. And like, this is my thing. You probably experienced this. When you have somebody, maybe you're dating somebody and they sleep over for the first time and you see what type of sleeper they are, right? Because some people are like little squealers. Some people, some people are snorers, like, right? Some people are thrashers. I've been thrashed many times in my life. Actually, it is weird. You ever be sitting there laid up with your partner and then they thrash you and you're like, was weird that your fist was closed. Like, it's... But anyway, I'm pretending to sleep, right? I even hit him with the right, and then just after a while, I wait a little longer, and then I'm like, and then and I had to like open one eye a little bit to make sure I really got the chicken, right? Because I didn't want to miss, because you're gonna get another chance, right? Like, if you miss that first time, he start protecting the chicken and everything. So, you know, I opened my eye a little bit and I cleaned that chicken. Like, I Tiger Woods that chicken. So then the chicken flies off the tray table across the man in the aisle seat, right? I forgot to mention, there was someone else who witnessed this entire thing. I'm actually very interested in what his perspective was, because he didn't have headphones on, so he heard him eating the chicken in his ear. And I'm telling you right now, if it was bad for me, it was horrible for him, because the sound of a grown man eating a rotisserie chicken with his hands does sound exactly like a dog eating a person. It's just as horrific. The sound will never go away, right? I can hear it right now, right? And so then chicken shoots across him. It hits the tray table not the tray table, the armrest of the other aisle seat, and then it hits the ground where I think it had some bounce to it because it still was mostly intact, so it was gonna move like a chicken would move, right? Now, I gotta keep my eyes closed again because I'm supposed to be asleep for this, right? But I do hear a muffled scream through my headphones. And I don't know what it was because, once again, my eyes are closed. So I don't know. This is what I think happened. As a plane, we were making a little bit of a turn. We were at a little bit of an angle, right? So we weren't still ascending, but we were like dipped a little bit like this. So I think that the chicken hit in the aisle, rolled back a little bit, must have rolled into a new person's aisle, right? And so then it rolled into their aisle, and they looked down, and all of a sudden they got their foot in a chicken, right? And that, because it wasn't a scream like, it was a scream like, and that's... And any one of us would do that. If you were just on a plane and you were minding your own business, all of a sudden your foot was in a chicken with the bones in it. Like, your foot is in it and it's not coming off. It's a shoe now, so it's not coming off, right? We'd all be like, And so then I hear him through my headphones. He's like, what the hell? Like, he screams, what the hell, right? And so then I gotta pretend to wake up. So I'm like, oh. Oh, what happened? Right? He's like, dude, you knocked over my whole meal, right? He's like yelling. I'm like, oh no, did I? I'm sorry. Can I get you another one? He's like, no, that's the only one I had. I was like, oh, can I buy you something else? He's like, no, I don't want anything. Just watch the... He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. My bad. And then I did just have to sit next to that dude on the plane for the rest of the trip. I've never had anyone shoot me dirtier looks than this. He was just looking at me the rest of the flight like... I wish I had a bomb. We're really in it now, you know? We're really in it now. We have Kamala running, right? You want to know the wildest thing about Kamala running is I saw her first 2 campaign events, right? And just to have somebody talking regular. Like truly just talking regular. I was like, she might as well have been breakdancing. The way she went up there and said thank you and was remembering names and stuff, she might as well have been hitting that. Like, yeah, it's wild. You know, because some people say that they don't see Kamala as president, but I see Kamala as president because I thought she already was president, right? And what I mean is, when Biden dropped out, I got a notification on my phone, and the notification on my phone was from a news outlet who worded the news very poorly in the headline, because I was at home and all I saw was Biden's gone, Kamala's in.
And gone is you gotta use gone very carefully when you talk about Joe Biden. You can't just be out here saying gone willy-nilly, right? And so when they said gone, I was like, oh, that was the COVID he got. Like he got the real one then. If he gone, oh no. And then I realized that he had actually stepped away. He had dropped out, and I was like, "Oh, thank goodness!" Because like this is the thing that now that he's out of the race, I do think it's very important to have an honest conversation about Joe Biden, about his presidency, right? Because this is the thing that people forget about Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a granddaddy, okay? So for a president, he seemed slow. He seemed a bit weak and frail. For a granddaddy, he was killing it. All right? Like, really take a step back for a second and think about the granddad. Think about your granddaddy, right? What's on the agenda in a day for your granddaddy? Really be fair. Really be honest with yourself. What do you expect your granddaddy to do in a day? First thing on the docket is to wake up, hopefully. Second, have some jam. Tell some stories. Yeah, like... Watch some westerns, and then there's some naps to get got, right? You don't fly your granddaddy on 13-hour flights and then make him talk to a whole country and then be like, he doesn't seem up to the job. Like... Because Biden was busy just being a granddaddy. Everyone loves to forget that. We went to Biden as a granddaddy, and we were like, hey, we need you to run. And then he was like, are you sure? And we were like, yeah, we think you're the only one that can do it. Please run. And then he ran, and then he won. And then for 3.5 years, nobody did any homework. Nobody did any building up of any other candidates. Nobody did any real research into who was next up. So then, election time comes along. They're like, hey, we need you again. And he was like... I'm more granddaddy now than I was before. They were like, please, Joe, come on, Because that's one thing that I don't know. I look at it and I think that both we and history should remember Biden for doing an incredibly patriotic and courageous thing. That stepping aside is a big deal, right? And I want him, it's something that I hope he always knows that we appreciate. For better or for worse, we appreciate it because, some people wouldn't have done that. Some people would have let their ego get in the way. Some people, because this man told the world, he met with world leaders and told them, guys, I'm running, I'm going to win, it's going to be fine. And then he had to drop out, right? Dropped out on a Sunday in a tweet. On a Sunday with a tweet with COVID. And I'm not gonna lie, maybe I'm not being fair, and that's okay, but I was furious at Biden when he got COVID. How dare you get COVID the same week Trump got shot at? Trump got shot at, blood and stuff, and then Biden over here, I was furious. But I really want us, and I think that it's something that I wish more leaders did because in a weird way, it did feel for a second like they actually listened. Because we had been saying, we were like, guys, I don't feel great. And then something happened. That almost never happens. This is America. And I think there's like this weird asterisk on his political career and on his legacy now, because then people are like, where does he go from here? He's still president for like 6 months, and we're already like, where does he go from here? Oh, that's so sad. I don't think it's sad at all. I think that Biden has a chance to stamp his legacy now. This dude he's done. He said he's done. He's not coming back. He's not running for anything else. He's towards his twilight years and everything. Like this is it. So he has the chance to do what every politician ever promises that they're gonna do. You gotta remember, when people run for the first time, they're talking all that good stuff, right? When people run for the first time, I'm gonna do this, I don't care, I'm not taking anybody's money, I'm gonna do this, and then they get in and then they get got, right? Then all of a sudden they're talking like an assistant manager zombie. They're like, well, we have to really look at the votes. What'd they do to you? But Biden doesn't have that. He has to worry about a second term. He doesn't have to worry about next position. This dude could have the most radical presidency for the rest of the time that he's in office. He has months left to exact some of the craziest change you can imagine, because he's never coming back. This is it. This is what people wish our politicians had, right? Because you don't know who somebody is until they put in their 2 weeks. When somebody put those 2 weeks in and they're still professional and you're like, oh, okay, they really a good worker, right? Most people put those 2 weeks in and they're like, 2 weeks, these nuts. Dude, Biden right now has the power to just go ahead and just drop executive orders like mixtapes. This dude could just straight up say, hey, everybody gets free lunch and come and kill me. Right? Free school lunch for kids. Everybody get maternity leave. How about that? You can fight me in court. I won't be there. You can fight me in court. Right? And then you look at, you look at Kamala and what her campaign's going to be like, and what the opposition against her is going to be like. And it's already started in some sense, but you can tell that people don't really know how to attack her. Not exactly, right? Like, they're going to try the regular stuff, like the racist stuff and all this. She'll get some sexism. Don't worry, she'll get some sexism. But like really attacks, like things that make you go, ooh, I don't know about Kamala, right? They don't know. And you can tell they don't know, because okay. I saw this, one attack I saw against Kamala. This is wild. Okay, let me see. All right. No, I'm just looking around because I feel like, look, I think maybe only the black people will get it first, but I'm gonna bring everybody along, right? Because then basically there was an attack on Kamala where they were like, Kamala Harris's great granddaddy was an Irish slave owner that went to London to oppose abolition. And then every black person I know was like, yeah. Sorta checks out. There's a reason it's her great granddaddy and her great grandma wasn't mentioned. And if you know, you know, right? That's what's so crazy to me, is that I'm not saying Kamala's the perfect candidate at all. And I, she said herself she's gonna have to earn and win your vote and everything, and she plans to do that. But I will say the last time somebody had to go back to the 1800s to attack a candidate was maybe never. That's so crazy. Her great. Yeah. But then you should ask some more questions, like, why is that? And then, oh. You know what I mean? Because the only people that caught it are the people who really understand slavery. And that's the thing that's so crazy, is that Republicans are trying so hard to attack Kamala, they may accidentally teach like, I thought you burned all the critical race theory books.
Make some noise for your friend and mine, Josh Johnson.
I don't know if y'all heard, by the way, but the Olympic Committee has decided to lift the intimacy ban in the Olympic Village, right? Yeah. Now, in case you didn't know, whenever people go to participate in the Olympics, right, especially for the Summer Olympics, they all stay in one big Olympic village together, and while they're there, they smash, all right? These are the best athletes in the world. In the peak of their physical prime, they're going to get it on, right? But Olympics is every 4 years, so 2024 Olympics means that last Olympics was that time we do not speak of, right? And in that time, they tried to have some semblance of the Olympics, and so they told the athletes, they were like, listen, something going around. The last thing we need is y'all making something new. So just come here, compete, go home, all right? But then you fast forward to present, 2024 Summer Olympics are in Paris, City of Love. Not only have they lifted the intimacy ban, they've committed to having 300,000 condoms in the Olympic Village. That's ambitious. 300,000 condoms. There's only 10,000 athletes. 300,000 condoms. Half the athletes are men. They expect 5,000 men to go through 300,000 condoms in the span of like 2 weeks. I am not an Olympic athlete. But on the night of my life, I went through 2. There is no way. That is too many condoms. That is too much pressure to put on these young men. It really is. They are already flying from around the world to win glory for their country. And now they gotta worry about putting a dent in their pile. That's not fair. It's too many condoms because you acting like all the athletes are gonna smash equally. They won't. Because you can be honest, when you think about the Summer Olympics, you think about the track stars, the swimmers, the gymnasts, the sexy athletes. Nobody's thinking about the equestrians. No one's like, he just ride that horse so good. I wonder what else he could. No one has said that ever. In fact, when you watch the sport, you're like, it seemed like the horse doing all the work. Oh. Like, it wouldn't be a problem if it was like maybe the Winter Olympics, you know? Winter Olympics could get through 300,000 easy, right? First of all, they need the warmth, right? Second, if there's any athlete from any sport that could get through 300,000 condoms in a couple weeks, it's the curlers. People love to act like the curlers don't get any. That entire sport is foreplay, top to bottom, all right? Every time they're playing, every time they send that rock down the ice, what do they do? Every single time, just, nice and gentle to get it started, you know what I mean? And then they send it down to that other guy on the other side of the ice with the broom, and he just... doing it just right so it hits a specific spot? Am I the only one watching the sport? Because that's my big issue. I just feel like, how do I put this? Okay, I feel like when it comes to the summer sports versus the winter sports look really, really cool. And all the sports are hard to do. All the people that participate are athletes, right? I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying that the people who aren't athletes that do those things still look cooler when it's winter. Does that make sense? Like if you were snowboarding and then you accidentally hit some like slope and you do something cool in the air, people still gonna want to bang you when you land. But if you playing table tennis, there's just a lot of the summer sports that are very virgin adjacent is what I'm... Do you know what I mean? Like the winter sports are like an event. Like even now, even in life, if you went on a trip and you're like, I'm going skiing, it's like, oh, you're going skiing. This is about to be dope, right? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I do think that people who do like the shot put and stuff, those are very impressive athletes. But if you walked up to somebody in life and said, I throw, it doesn't hit the same. You know what I mean? Like, there's just activities that are very impressive when the athletes do them, but if you're not an athlete, it's not impressive. Even the javelin. You look at the javelin, when an Olympic athlete does it, when they walk up and they do that, and then they like blah, blah, and then it just goes forever. Wow. When you see like a regular guy do it, I was in high school and I saw, okay, it was a kid. He was supposed to be the best one at this other school because I wasn't on the track team, but I was like adjacent to the team. Like if somebody got hurt, they would let me run. But they knew I wouldn't win, so it was just to appease me because I kept coming to all the meets and I kept dressing out like I was one of them. But they were like, "You slow, you can't be with us." But I was like, yeah, but sometimes y'all trip, and one of these days, it's gonna be my time to shine. And they were like, yeah, but the other kids will still be fast. And I was like, we'll worry about that bridge when we cross it, right? But anyway, there was a meet where this kid had a javelin, and this was a bad track meet to begin with because they had everybody doing everything at the same time, right? And so then they had some of the kids running to qualify at the same time as kids were throwing the shot put and stuff. Now, people weren't really that strong, so things weren't going that far, but there was this one kid that was very good, and then he threw the javelin, and then he threw the javelin, and then you just heard and there's no way to catch a javelin in your body that doesn't make it look like you shouldn't be dead. Like, because it hit this kid in the leg, like it hit just in the leg, right? Which is incredibly painful, but it's so much stick hanging out the leg, it's like, how did it not go through your leg? I don't think you dying right now. You should have, like if this was war, if this is the movie, you'd be, you know what I mean? You just over here, you know what I mean? I feel like what I'm saying is starting to make sense. I feel like you're getting it. It's that the summer sports just have so much range. You know what I mean? Like in winter sports, there's like bobsled or something. Bobsled still very cool, going super fast. And then you get to the end. Even if you last place, you went so fast, there's somebody at the finish line that's like, what are you doing later? Like, you know? But if you're the discus at the Summer Olympic and it just, you throw your hardest, right? You throw it as far as you can, and then it just go, and then it doesn't hit that line, right? Because they already have the line of what would be impressive. This impressive line right here, if you get it past that, people go, ooh. If you get low, people are like, oh. And then you threw it as hard as you could, and then, oh. You going home alone. That's just the way it's gonna work. But I hope it works out for the summer athletes. I really do. I hope they get it on. Because selfishly, I want to see what some Olympic-made babies look like. You know what I mean? Like a medalist in judo and a medalist in the high jump. That sound like how you make a superhero. You know what I mean? Oh, I hope they smash to their heart's delight. I really do. I want to see any like mixing. Like gold can't get with bronze. All right? Like we might not be making a winner. All right? I think family is incredibly important, right? But it does suck. Like, here's the thing. I don't know how to describe this. And this is not a perfect, I haven't thought it all the way through. So I haven't actually thought of a solution. I really am just up here complaining, okay? But it does feel upsetting sometimes that when you marry, like I've watched a lot of my friends get married, right? And when you marry, you're in the family, but you just wanted them. Do you know what I mean? Like you love them, and then a bunch of people you don't know are like, no, us too. We all go together now. Inseparable. We're family. You know? And sometimes it works out beautifully. Like sometimes you meet someone, you fall in love, and their family is also delightful. And that's very sweet. I love that. I love that for my friends. I love that for my family members as that's happened to. But then sometimes you meet someone and y'all fall in love, and then you get introduced to people that you're like, ooh, I don't want to have anything to do with... I don't want to have anything to do with what you got going on. Like, that's not why I came. You know what I mean? It feels like going to a restaurant, right? And being like, oh, I'll get the wings. And they're like, and you'll have the burger. And you're like, I can really only fit wings, right? And that's why I only ordered the wing. No, trust me, the burger comes with the wings. And if you don't have a sufficient amount of burger, the wings will get mad, all right? The wings will be like, why don't you care about my burger, right? And you'll be like, I just wanted you. I didn't sign up for burger. I just wanted... I don't even like beef like that. Like, I just wanted some chicken wings. And you're great. It's like, yeah, but the beef... And we were raised together. Like, we should... all find a way to get along. And you're like, this metaphor has run out. No, I just look, I've watched it happen, and it seems like a real bummer. It seems like, because, you know, that your friends will tell you about it. They'll tell you about what's going on, and it'll be some in-law and something, and they're not getting along. And I'm like, man, that's because you can't even really yell at them good because they're not actually your family. Do you know what I mean? Like, at a certain amount of yell, like if it's your brother, your sister, you can let somebody have it. Y'all grew up together, and even if you were in separate households or whatever, you can still that's your bloodline. You can be like, you're an idiot, right? When you put in law on the back end, it just takes all the juice out of... Like, some people still have a very good relationship, and I love that for them. But some people are like, my brother-in-law is a real... He's... You just want to choke. It's not even just... It's... Sometimes I dream about just punch the back of his head until I just pull back. The knuckles are just mush. I hate him so much, I don't even have words. And then you have to be like, but that's your brother, but not, right? No. One of the most interesting cases of it I'd seen was, okay, so this kid from my hometown got married young, right? So they got married like almost right out of high school. So they're like 19 and stuff. And they want to be married to each other, but they're weirdly self-aware that they don't really have the resources to start a life, right? So they just married at home. Like, they didn't have to do this at all, right? But they spend a lot of time at her grandma's house. Now, they're married, right? But then the grandma got remarried because the granddad had been gone for a while, and the grandma could still get it, right? So she was out getting it, right? And so, you know, she was out playing the field and everything, and then she found somebody to settle down with, settle concrete with, right? Because this is the last one, right? And it's like, and so she found somebody, and then, you know, that guy is now hanging out around the grandma. Now, his wife loves her grandma, loves hanging out with her and everything, so they're over at the house a lot. But he has a very weird situation because he has an in-law now, right? The grandma is his in-law, but she just got married again. So now this guy is like a step granddaddy. And if you think things can be fraught with a stepfather, a step granddaddy cares so little about you. Because he's like, I almost didn't meet you. Like, I don't, like, everybody grown. Like, we don't have to be talking right now. And so he had a step granddaddy kind of in-law, right? I've lost how this works. But all I know is he didn't have a in-law granddaddy, but then that stepped in, so now he's the step granddaddy, and that guy's name is Earl, and Earl is a dick, right? Earl using all the time he have left to just be an asshole. Which normally I would be on board with, but it was happening to my friend, so it was just kind of funny. Like Earl would be watching TV, and then they come over, and he still want to watch his show. And then he would say, because the grandma was never watching TV, she was always cooking or doing something, right? So it would just be him and Earl sometimes in the room while she was chilling with her grandma, and he'd be like, hey, can we watch like anything else? Because Earl would love to watch like Star Trek, stuff like that. And he's like, can we just watch the news, anything that's happening, right? Besides this. And Earl would be like, yeah, sure. And then he would get up and like go to the bathroom or something. But what he had done when he was getting up was he snuck the batteries out the remote and put them back and gave them to my friends. Now he just pressed it thinking that the TV not working. You could have said no. Yeah. There's at a certain point you're like, man, why are you here? Why am I here? Why are we doing this? And Earl had he had this raspy voice. I say he's still alive. He had this super raspy voice where he'd be like, so y'all just gonna stay for dinner? Eating up all the food. Earl didn't even cook. Her grandma cooked. But he would still get he would watch my buddy eat and watch him eat. He got the same food on his plate, by the way. This is how you know Earl a true hater from the core. Because he eating the same... It's not like my friend has something delicious he can't have. He just hates that this dude also has cornbread. So he's like... staring him down. Nastiest thing Earl ever did was Earl was like in a chair for a little while, right? and he had like twisted his ankle, and so he was in like a little wheelchair, right? And he wasn't leaving the house much. But one time it was him and my buddy in the room, and without saying a word, they just watching Star Trek. He given up on trying to switch shows and stuff like that. He's like, when I'm with Earl, I'm just gonna watch Star Trek, and that's it, right? Earl leans until he tips out of his wheelchair, and he laying on the ground. And when everybody come in, he pointed to my buddy. He was like, "Why would you push me like that?"
When I